Welcome to the Finance Marketing Podcast, a show that empowers finance professionals to market their businesses in ways that feel good and actually achieve results. I'm your host, Hillary. I've been working with folks in financial services to develop marketing strategies that work and create results-oriented marketing content since 2020. And I've learned a lot about what works in finance marketing, what doesn't work, and where financial services pros get stuck. Join us each Friday as we explore real, effective ways to market your finance business and connect with folks who truly embody your ideal clients. Welcome back to the Finance Marketing Podcast. This episode is part 2 of my conversation with Mark Hansen, founder of Second Comma and host of the podcast, The Quiet Part. Now, if you missed part 1, I highly recommend giving that one a listen first, where Mark shared the fascinating story behind his brand and the power of embedding your personality into your business identity. So if you're not sure how important electric salmon is to Mark's brand and brand personality, you'll definitely want to go give that episode a listen. Now, in today's episode, we're diving into how Mark took that strong branding foundation and turned it into engaging content that resonates with his ideal clients. We're discussing how he uses tools like ChatGPT to create personalized content efficiently that doesn't sound like AI wrote it, his strategies for social media, blogging, and email, and how he customizes and automates his messaging to consistently reach and connect with his audience. So whether you're looking to streamline your content creation process or make your marketing efforts more effective, Mark's insights will be invaluable. Let's dive in. So you had your branding guide, you have your website, you have your ebook now. These are all, big pieces of collateral for your business and your brand. Then, and correct me if I'm wrong, you felt comfortable going out and creating content on your own. And what do you think the role of these 3 pieces played in starting that initial journey of content creation, which again, correct me if I'm wrong. I think this was kind of maybe one of your first kind of jump into, okay, now I'm having to show up on social media. I'm having to write emails. I'm having to write blog posts. Eventually you added in a podcast, right? So how did those 3 things kind of help you start that process?
Yes. So this was a hard turn for me because I had just spent about 3.5 years getting out of social media. And so I was very reluctant to get into it. But once I was like, okay, I do need to be found, right? I'm looking for people in their 30s. I'm looking for people with young families. People in their 30s with young families love sharing their families on social media. Mm. It's a great medium to educate people. So, okay, I need to figure this out, and I've found healthy ways to interact with it. But I found that process really hard at the same time because it's, okay, how do you take 6,000 words and turn it into 280 characters, right? How do you take 6,000 words and find a photo that exudes the main idea of what you're looking for? And I really struggled with this. So I kind of got to where I had a big bullet point list of, these are all these, 4,900 different things that I want to say, but I didn't understand how to say them because I didn't really understand all of the ins and outs of who I was saying them to. So I actually came back to you and said, hey, I've reached the end of my knowledge again, and I need help. And so you started asking me about something called a client avatar. And I started thinking like, oh, it's people in their 30s that have young families and somebody works and somebody doesn't. It's like that. That's who I'm trying to talk to. And you started asking me about like, no, what are their psychographics? Like, who are they when the lights are off, when nobody's looking? Like, who are they, even if they don't have financial problems? And that really got my gears turning on, oh, I don't actually know who these people are. So then I set out trying to figure out who are these people. So I made like a matrix, husband and a wife, these different categories. So the categories that I was trying to fill in were like considerations that they have, fears that they have about money, their actual psychographics, like what do they think about, what happens in their brain, what's a vision statement that they would have, what are their demographics. And I started trying to figure out motivations and challenges. But that was really difficult. And I actually turned to ChatGPT to give me some answers on all of this. And that was really helpful. I can dive into a little bit more about how I used ChatGPT if that would be helpful.
Please do.
Okay. So ChatGPT, there is from my perspective, a correct and an incorrect way to use ChatGPT. The correct way is what I tried to do, which is essentially helping ChatGPT think. ChatGPT doesn't like magically know all the answers. Even if your prompt says you are a marketing expert with 30 years of experience, that doesn't really tell ChatGPT anything. But that's like all over these YouTube videos that you watch.
Right.
But what ChatGPT is really good at is if you don't know where to start, it'll get you from 0 to 1. And then I started that process of not this, but this, as in I would say, I am a financial planner. I am trying to talk to a working spouse, and I would explain the family dynamic, and then ChatGPT would come back with, "Oh, this is blah 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 about this person." And I would say, "No, that's not true." Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like at one point, it said these people are very focused on teaching their kids technology literacy at very young ages, and they will let their children play on iPads on the weekends when they're not in school so that they're better prepared to use technology when they're an adults. And I literally said, ChatGPT, no, that is wrong.
Never say that again.
That is not what these families are doing.
We don't want to do that.
Yeah, you could not be more wrong. And ChatGPT apologized to me. He's like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that. I'm so sorry. But it was through that process, I was able to, again, kind of, have you ever heard that phrase where the guy, he is an ice sculptor and he carves a horse out of an ice block? And then when he's done, it's like a beautiful, beautiful horse. And this lady is interviewing him and she says, how did you carve this? How did you take the block of ice and turn it into a horse? And he said, well, I just cut away all the ice that wasn't a horse. Mm. And that's really what I was doing with ChatGPT, right? So it's, hey, I'm trying to talk to people in their 30s that have multiple children in the home. And then once it was, and I would say, what are the demographics? And so then it would help me fill in the blanks, as in I didn't know all of the demographics that I needed to have. Mm-hmm. But then I said, ChatGPT, ask me questions to help you understand the demographics. So now, it says like, I know their age, and then what's the location that they live in. And so I said, well, they live in locations that they believe will be most beneficial for achieving their family goals, prioritizing building the strongest family unit. I told that to ChatGPT, mm-hmm. and then it started storing that information. And then it was like education level. We talked through, they might be college educated, they might not be. Education level isn't super important right here. We talked about employment, family structure, hobbies and interests, and all that stuff. And then I had the demographics. And then I repeated that with the psychographics, as in they are ambitious and career-oriented. They're goal-driven. They have family-centric values. And I'm reading right now. Sorry if this sounds sterile at all.
Yeah.
Okay. I said that they're financially prudent. They're responsible and reliable. But then I'm describing who they are. But I would just tell ChatGPT, knowing the demographics of the person in this family unit, describe to me the working spouse's psychographics. And it would just give me a list of like 10 to 12 things that it thought about this person. And then I would just say, no, that's not true. Number 4 is not true. Numbers 5 through 7, those are definitely true. We're going to modify numbers 1, 2, and 3. You can delete 10, 11, and 12. And I would pare it down to really kind of I tried to get it to 5. Mm-hmm. So then I wound up with 5 psychographics, motivations, as in things that motivate them, like supporting their family goals, long-term financial planning, achieving a work-life balance. I tried to figure out what are the challenges that this person would be facing, like balancing work life and family life, ensuring financial stability, long-term financial planning, aligning family goals with their financial reality, right? These are all things that I was able to generate by talking to ChatGPT and allowing us to work together. And then I talked about thoughts for money. And then I made one for my working spouse avatar. I made one for my stay-at-home spouse avatar, because they're 2 different people.
Right.
And then I realized they are 2 different people, but then they're also joined by this thing called marriage. And so I laid on top of it, and ChatGPT helped me out with this. I said that there are individual strategies for the actual avatar. There are also strategies shared with the spouse. And then I said there are individual considerations, as in one person is providing for the family financially, one person is providing for the family emotionally and physically. But those are different considerations. But then they also have joint considerations that they share with their spouse. And so then I came up with, and I put that common verbiage at the top of each one, and then I built out the rest of the documents of the client avatars with their individualized psychographics, demographics, considerations, thoughts on money, things like that. Mm. And so that's really how I got introduced to my client avatars that I named Peyton and Jordan, because that made a lot of sense to me. If you really want to know, they're the Taylor family, because that's one of my favorite TV shows. Bonus points if you know what show that's from. But it makes it so much easier to talk about them as the Taylors, knowing that they're Peyton and Jordan, knowing that these are their client avatars.
Okay, there's so much I want to say here. I cannot move on though before you tell me what the TV show is because I actually don't know it.
It's Home Improvement.
Oh, a staple of my childhood. I wasn't thinking that
Yeah,
far
yes,
back.
yes.
Oh, I love that, Mark. That's so awesome.
That's why they're the Taylors. Yes, I like. This is a sidetrack. I promise. Get me back on track when I'm done with this. But I like little Easter eggs like that. Like the Taylor family. It's because I love Home Improvement.
Yeah.
The intro to my podcast where I say, Mark Hansen is a financial planner at Second Comma, and then I go, "That's me, by the way."
Yeah.
That line right there, "That's me, by the way." That's a callback to one of my favorite movies as a child. I'm not going to give that one away. That one the audience has to figure out. But I put little Easter eggs like that because I think those are really fun.
Okay, well now every time I listen to your podcast, this conversation is going to pop into my head and it's going to drive me crazy. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I actually do think if I think about it long enough, I might be able to get it. But we'll see. I'll come back to you. Okay, so I love that you just walked us through how you use ChatGPT to help you. And this is what I love about it. Number one, I think of ChatGPT as being a really great conversation partner, right? It's someone that I can like tell all my ideas to. It can come back to me with ideas of its own. Those ideas might be wrong. Sometimes I'm like, okay, you're kind of on the right track here. Let's modify this. Here's what I don't like about it. And then it'll come back with something better. Sometimes it'll tell me something wrong that I'm like, that's wrong, but your wrong answer made me think of the right thing. So thank you for that. Right?
Exactly.
Or it'll come back with something that's totally right that I never would have thought of. And so there's like all these different levels, I think, of value of kind of using ChatGPT as a conversation partner. I also love that what you have done here is you really worked with ChatGPT and taught it basically to understand who your ideal clients are. So then you can come back, and I don't know if you did this or not. This is probably what I would have done. I take my client avatar, maybe put it into like a Google Doc or something like that, separate from ChatGPT. And then you can come back to ChatGPT, and periodically remind it, this is the client avatar that we came up with. I'd really like to talk about, this topic today on social media. What's a way into that topic that's going to be meaningful to this client avatar? Like there's just now so many things that you can do with this thing that you built in partnership with ChatGPT to help you create content down the road.
Yes. So I think I maybe went one step further. I created custom GPTs.
Yeah.
So I took my client avatars, I converted them to PDF, and then I made a custom GPT. I've got one for tweet threads. I'm big on Twitter. I've got tweet threads. I've got LinkedIn posts. I've got blog posts. And then I have, I'm trying to work on some ones for like emails, for email blasts and stuff. But the social media piece, if we focus on that, we'll talk about Twitter. Let's just focus on Twitter. So I've got a chat GPT in Twitter, and I say, the user is going to give you a topic. And then I've got one for my working spouse avatar and one for my stay-at-home spouse avatar. And so I can create completely different tweet threads targeting totally different people. Same topic, 2 threads, twice as many posts, right? But I just say, like one thing I did recently was applying for a mortgage. Okay. And I just said, so it's naturally going to write a tweet thread, but I just type in applying for a mortgage, and then ChatGPT, I've given it an example of what a really good tweet thread looks like. So I went online, I sourced a good example, I put it in there, short, punchy sentences, lots of spacing, breaking it out, label the tweets 1 out of 10, 2 out of 10, 3 out of 10. Don't use hashtags because I don't like hashtags. Don't use emojis. I don't like emojis. Save all the questions for the end. Like these are instructions that I've given ChatGPT. And so then I just type in applying for a mortgage to purchase the first home. And what comes back to me is a rough outline of an 8 to 10 tweet thread that I can then take from third base to home and put the rest of my personality on it. I never copy paste. It's never in its final form until it goes through my filter. But ChatGPT will get me to third base, and then all I have to do is go over home. And from a business perspective, from an owner, trying to allocate my time, that's what I needed.
Yeah.
So I took the time to build the client avatars, and now I just get to keep inserting that back into ChatGPT. And I've shared some stories with you where I've written tweet threads that I feel like are extremely targeted to my ideal client. and are written completely in my voice about the topics that I think are important. And I've spent 5-6 minutes on the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then I'm using other software like Buffer to essentially create like a flywheel of repeating my best messages over and over and over again, and perpetually improving the way that I present those messages, trying to find the right clients via social media.
Yeah, and what's so powerful about this too is, I think when you start with ChatGPT without like giving it enough information, it'll maybe get you to first base, right? And then that's almost unusable. It's really hard to take something from ChatGPT that is at first base to get it to home. But when you put in that upfront time to like really give it enough information and work with it to learn about who you are, who your ideal clients are, like what all of this stuff is, then everything that you want from it after that is at that third base. And it is so much easier to take a third base ChatGPT output and take that to home. So I think that,
Yeah.
This upfront time that you put into it, you really only have to do one time. And then it can be really, really, really powerful.
Yes, I would say going into ChatGPT without any parameters is more like bunting the ball straight to the pitcher.
Yeah.
Like it's a guaranteed out. Like it's just yes, it's a play.
Yeah.
It's a play in baseball, but it is not going to be fruitful at all. I would highly encourage people to learn, educate themselves a little bit more about how to get better results.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you're going to very quickly get drowned out in the other generic ChatGPT non-improved stuff.
Yeah.
But my stuff, I've put it in front of people. They have no idea that ChatGPT was even involved,
Right.
which is what I wanted. But it requires a little bit of work up front.
Yeah, it absolutely does. How long would you say it took you to do that upfront work about, creating your client avatar and really working with it?
I would say in an hour, you could have 80% of it done. I probably put in 3 because I really wanted to do the exercise one time. I probably did 3 hours, and I would say 2 of that was on the first one. And then it was faster to repeat the exercise on the second client avatar. But I do believe in a morning, if you can dedicate one morning to it, once you know what you're trying to do, or just go back and listen to what I said to do. That's exactly what I did. I didn't leave out any secret information. Just go through, and in one morning, I think you could create 2 actual client avatars, and then you can reference them forever. What's helpful is you actually, even for you, maybe you never use ChatGPT again, but to know your clients that well, the considerations of one single spouse, to be able to read about who they are and craft that character in your head. Even if you want to make all of your content yourself, you can still close your eyes and envision this person and talk to them. You can pretend like you're sitting across the table from them and having a conversation. Maybe you don't want to use ChatGPT, but I would still really encourage people to have very, very detailed client avatars. Each of my client avatars, for reference, is 5 pages of text about who they are, because I want it to be so clear by the time you finish reading it, you know who they are, because you naturally know who they aren't.
Yeah. Ooh, I love it so much. Well, Mark, I feel like there's so many other questions I could ask you, but we are reaching the top of the hour. We've talked about branding, we've talked about content creation, we've talked about ChatGPT. Is there anything else that we didn't get to talk about that you think would add value to this conversation?
Branding wise, so I'll say this, for people who can't see, I am wearing a Nike hat and a Nike quarter zip. And this is what I wear to my meetings, right?
Yeah.
This is how I show up to my meetings. I push back, not in a mean way, not in an abrasive way, but I do push back on, well, if you're not wearing a 3-piece suit with a $200 tie, you're not a financial planner. I show up looking like this because if you get frustrated by my appearance, I know you're not a client. This is something that I take into everything that I do. I'm trying to help people make decisions as fast as possible. And the only way to do that, you think about an axe forcing a piece of wood into 2 pieces. I'm trying to force that division as fast as possible. If you click on your camera and you see me wearing a hat and a quarter zip, whatever material this is, if that frustrates you, boom, you're gone like that. And because you want to be gone. And I've helped you see that this is who I am. So I do that the same thing in my podcast, my social media stuff, my website. I told you, and this is a great way to phrase it, the best way I could think of phrasing it for you. I said, when somebody finishes reading my website, I only want them to think one of 2 things. Either Mark is the craziest person I've ever met and I never want to talk to him again, or Mark is the craziest person I've ever seen and I have to get on the phone with him.
Yep.
I don't want anybody in the middle. I don't want anything lukewarm, right? I want it to be hot or cold. And it's not bad if you don't like who I am or what I do or how I do it. I'm not upset with you, but I am trying to be very clear about who I am and what I do and how I do it so that you, whoever you are, coming across my stuff, you can decide I do like you or I don't. And if I misrepresent myself in my branding, my logo, my social media, if I misrepresent myself, and the client falls in love with somebody that I'm not, I don't want to be the person keeping up the facade for the rest of our relationship because I accidentally sold you a person that I'm not. I'm goofy. I'm silly. I want it to be that way. I love seeing people laugh. I'm not going to stop trying to make you laugh.
Yeah.
In my podcast, I leave in the mistakes because I want you to know that I'm human. I'm not some perfect sit down, run it through, never make a mistake. I make mistakes all the time, and I'm human just like you are. And it's really how I try to meet people. As like, we're both humans. I just know certain things about finances. You know things about copy. Other people know things about art or making movies or whatever. I just happen to have this specific realm of knowledge.
Oh, I love this so much. Just to kind of like recap what was going on in my brain as you were talking through this, it's, don't be afraid of turning the wrong people away. Right. And what I love about you, the phrase that comes to mind, which is actually probably a phrase from one of my guilty pleasure TV shows, Love Island, which is a reality dating show, is, if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. Right. And how lucky for you that you only have to work with people who are like, hell yes. Like, I want to work with Mark. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that's getting into this, right? Getting into this realm of work, building any business, right? There's a piece where you need clients, you need revenue, you've got to get things going. But then there is a way where you can build a business that you hate running. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to accidentally create a business that I hate waking up and going to. And a part of that is, okay, it's a slower growth process. It's a little more frustrating than I want it to be, but it's because I'm turning away clients that aren't a good fit. Because as a financial planner, I believe it's part of my fiduciary responsibility. If I don't really like you, I might unconsciously serve you poorly.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to do that to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have to be very selective with who I'm working with. Also, every client that I say yes to, it's a no somewhere else. And to be at work means I'm not with my family. So I only want to work with people that are worth me being away from my family. And that framework, I've been reading this book called Essentialism. That framework is what is essential for me. You are asking me to leave my family, even for a period of time. And I'm only willing to do that if I like you.
Mm-hmm.
And I only want you to leave your family and part ways with some of your money if you are really excited to give it to me, if you think it's the best thing to do with your money. And I can only give you that opportunity by being 100% authentic.
Mm-hmm. Well, this has been so fun, Mark. If people want to learn more about you, where can they find you?
You can go to my website. You can read the whole thing. It's second-comma.com. You can find me online. I'm a very easy Google search now that my website's a little bit older. If you type in second comma, there's going to be thousands of articles about whether or not that sentence needs another comma or not. And then there's one result that's financial planning. So I'm very easy to find. If you just type in like second comma financial planning, I will be the top result. Thankfully, it's a very easy Google search. But you can find me on YouTube. All my podcasts are on Apple and Buzzsprout, I think that's what it's called. Or you can find the video version on YouTube. I'm on Twitter as second comma. There's 2 underscores in between second and comma. I'm on LinkedIn. I post to Facebook. That doesn't mean I'm on Facebook. I'm mostly on Twitter. So that's where you can find me.
Awesome. I will link to all of that in the show notes. And I'm going to link to your ebook as well, just, in case people want to check it out, if that's okay with you, Mark.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for this conversation. And thank you to all of our listeners for joining us on this episode of the Finance Marketing Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Finance Marketing Podcast. If you're eager to market your business in a way that feels good and actually gets results, sign up for the Finance Marketing Podcast newsletter in the show notes so you never miss another episode. If you liked what you heard today, please be sure to subscribe to the show on your favorite listening app and leave a review on Apple Podcasts. We'll see you back here next Friday.